Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Today we're talking about spiritual freedom and 3 questions to help you orient what you want to do in this world. Spiritual freedom is the idea that you have complete control over what you want to do in this world and why. That you are fully aware of why you are making the decisions that you're making and adjusting as you figure out yourself a little bit more. Your life can be categorized into 3 distinct parts: the past, the present, and the future. And each one of these is an important part of your life. Your past will tell you what you've learned, what you've done, how far you've come. Your present will tell you where you are right now and what you can do to get you to that future place that you want to be. So the first question that we're going to ask is, what have I learned? And that is a much easier way to look at your past, to distinguish what has happened, what you didn't like, what you did like, because you're looking at it from, what can I get from this? Your past cannot be changed. There's nothing that you can do, no amount of thinking, no amount of wanting, no amount of belief about it being or wanting it to be different can change it. So if you ask yourself, well, what did I learn? Every time you think about your past and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done this instead, that's already a pretty good path to figuring out what you've learned. And if you can constantly come back to this idea, well, what did I learn? If you were friends with someone for far too long, if you stayed in a relationship way too long, if you stayed at a job for far too long, what did you learn? I personally stayed at a job way longer than I should have, and I've learned that your job is an important part of your life, but it cannot be your whole life, and it cannot be the only thing that your identity revolves around. Because if that thing ever gets taken away, which it might and it probably will at some point in some capacity, you have to have a life that is centered around something more important to you, which is your spiritual freedom. It is that entire core of why are you here and what are you doing with this one life that you get. And you may believe that, oh, there is a life after this, there is a reincarnation or something that makes this life easier to go through. But at the end of the day, all we know is that we have a certain amount of days, that we don't know how many, and that someday we no longer will. So what are we going to do with the time that we have and make the best out of it? We live on a beautiful planet with amazing things happening and equally as destructive, but we get to choose which one we're going to look at and which one we're going to feed. So if we're going to think about our past, it might as well be useful to us today. So what did you learn? How can you reframe everything that's happened to you into a lesson and then move on? Wrap it up in a bow and say goodbye. And if you have figured out everything that you can from the past, then there's nothing else that it can do for you. The past has done what it can. It is in the past. It is something that you've passed through and you can move on. When you go on a road trip, you are trying to get to that final destination. You aren't stopping at every stoplight for 3 days, just hoping to get more out of that stoplight. It served its purpose. You stopped so you didn't hit other traffic. Now you can go through it and you don't need to think about it anymore. You don't need to come to the end of your journey and recount that you passed through 35 red stop signs and there was 74 restaurants and that you stopped at 5. You don't have to recount that because that's not a interesting part of your past. Now you will have memories of your past. They can also be good or bad. And you can learn from those too, or you can think about them and have a sweet moment where you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was cool. But then you have to refocus to the present moment. So how can you keep a record of what you've learned? This is only maybe a fifth of the notebooks that I've written over the past 5 years, but within them, I write what I'm grateful for, what I've learned, what I no longer want to think about, things that I believe, things that I no longer believe, and all of it has just been an amalgamation of trying to make peace with the past because it no longer serves me. And I was in the car last night and listening to a podcast where they were talking about the regrets of the dying. I haven't read that book. It's definitely a book that I want to read, but one of them is not living the life that they want. And what I said I didn't want my regret to be was that I didn't want to look back and keep holding on to things that hurt me or were no longer serving me. I don't want to look to middle school or high school or college or anything that has gone by and point to that as the reason why I'm not moving forward today. The past is there to serve you, and if it's no longer doing that, it is not something that you need to keep thinking about and keep bringing up, because it's your past. You get to decide what it means. You can shift it into a better meaning, or you can just move on to it from it altogether. There are certain things that have happened in my life that I'm like, I can't learn any other thing from this, and I don't know why, and I'm never gonna know why, so I'm just gonna go and replace all of that thinking about the past with thinking about how could I get closer to who I want to be right now, today, because my future is what I'm trying to work towards, and the present is how I do it. So if you are someone who gets stuck on things that have happened, or you wish that you could have changed something, what can you do with that wish today? What can you do with the fact that you didn't show up for a friend, or you showed up way too much? How can that influence what you do today so you don't think back on your next recent past and think the same things? How can you change your belief of your past by making a better past? You're going to live for hopefully a very long time. So how are you going to start making peace with the fact that certain things have happened the way that they did? You have to accept it, learn from it, and if you can't learn from it anymore, accept it. Accept that you've gotten what you can, thank the past, and move on. And if you look back and you're like, dang, I wouldn't have done this or this or this, that's awesome. You have figured out what you wouldn't do, and that is exactly what your past is for, to teach you what you will do, what you want to do, and how you're going to get there. So decide today that your past is filled with lessons, and then on top of those lessons is acceptance of the past as it is. You don't need to know why. You just need to move on. And if learning a lesson can help you, amazing. If accepting it and moving on from it is what you can do, great. But do one of these things to help you move on. There was a time where I was constantly thinking about what happened with my previous job and how I moved and how many friends I no longer talk to. And all of it was something I was ruminating on, and it wasn't getting any better. And I decided one day, I was like, you know what? Everything has happened the way it needed to, and I'm moving on. And my life right now is far greater, and I would change everything. I would trade everything the same way to have this life. So at the end of the day, everything has gotten you here. Accept it. Be proud of where you've come, what you've learned, and that you're different now. And that is the whole point of life, is to change and to honor that life that you had with accepting this as the new version of you. So let go of what was. The past can only help you as much as it can, and you are leaving behind the person that no longer can go forward. There's many versions of me that are not here today because I had to change in order to handle the life that I have right now. And so should you. So how can you release the past? By accepting that there was lessons and just accepting that it happened. You can write it down. I think I wrote a journal every single week for the first few months, just trying to make peace with the past and just trying to get through it over and over again. And it took a while, but now 5 years later, after many, many notebooks, there's many things I no longer think about. And you have to create space between what was and who you are now in order to prove to yourself that you can do better. Prove to yourself today that you are more than what has happened to you by accepting the lessons. Write them down. Look back on them when you do think about the past and say, you know what? I've learned what I needed to. I'm going to free myself from the tyranny of the past because it can't do anything for me, and I can't go back in time and change it. There are no time machines, and if there were, the butterfly effect would happen. If you change one little thing that you did in the past, you would not be where you are today. You could be on a completely different path. And I watched Dark Matter a few weeks ago, and this was the exact thing that they were talking about is every little shift, every little decision, every little change has brought you to this exact moment, and there's many versions of you living other lives that you aren't. So don't worry about them. They're not yours to worry about. So let the past go. Embrace the current moment. And this is the second question to ask yourself in the present is, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do today to get me closer to who I want to be, which is going to be a difficult one if you've never thought about it. And if you were given the opportunity to never have to work again, to have all the money that you need, what life is it that you would want? What would your time be taken up with? Would you be spending more time with family? Would you be creating a brand new path for yourself? Would you have more time to travel? Would you see your friends more? Would you go and learn a new skill? Would you go back to school? What would you do if you had an abundance of time and money? You may not have either of these things right now, but what would your life look like if you did? What would your relationships look like? What would your life look like? What would your day-to-day? What would your schedule look like? What do you want to do with the one and only precious life that you get? And these are also the questions that I asked in all of these. I had them in order. I might have just messed up the order, but I was asking, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? And what is holding me back from getting there? And this is where the past and the present are intermixing, because a lot of the things that are holding you back are things you can't change or beliefs that you've held for a long time that you can change. So you have to get clear with yourself on what can I change and what can I not? And what can I do today to get me closer to the things that I do want to be doing? And if you aren't sure of what you do want to be doing with your life, should you have everything that you need, the money, the time, whatever else it is, start to ask yourself these questions. You need to have a clear idea of where you want to go in life if you're going to go in any direction favorably. You need to decide today to get yourself closer to where you want to be. Your GPS will only take you to the location that you tell it, and your life is only going to go in the direction that you decide, that you are working towards, that you are actively participating in. Do not be a passenger in your own life any longer. You can decide today that you're going to pick up a pen and paper and write out, this is what I want my dream life to look like. And if you have no idea, what celebrities do you follow? What people in your life do you have some kind of view of what they have, and what would you want from it? This is not to compare yourself and be like, oh, well, they have this huge mansion and I don't have that, but that's what I want. This is to show you what actually matters to you. What do you value? How are you getting closer to it? And that is another big thing, is if you aren't getting aware of who you are or getting closer to the idea of who you aren't going to get anywhere in a timely manner. If you don't know where you're going to go down a lot of dead ends because you don't have an idea of where you want to go. Not to say that if you have an idea of what you want for your life, that is going to be the only thing that you ever want. But at least you're going in a direction that you enjoy for now, and you can change that direction at any time, and you'll learn things and then you'll switch. But at least give yourself the space to ask yourself, have you ever asked yourself, what does success look like to me? If I was to look back when I was 95 and say I've lived a beautiful life, what would that mean? Would you have many grandchildren running around you? Would you have traveled to many countries? Would you have built a nonprofit? Would you have built a career around writing books? Would you be an engineer? Would you be a lawyer? What would your perfect life look like? How would you be spending time with people that you care about? How would you be spending time with yourself? Where would it be? Do you want to live next to the beach? Do you want to live where it's always cold? Do you want to live where there's a lot of sun? What is it that you want? Do you want to live on a tropical island? Do you want to live in the middle of the forest? None of these are right or wrong. They're simply the path that you want to choose. So if you don't know where you want to go or what you want, you're never going to get there, because no direction that you go in is going to help you because you don't know where you're going. And the sooner you get yourself a clearer image of where it is that you want to go, the easier it's going to be for you to get there. The easier it's going to be for you to set up goals and to set up habits and for you to move towards that. If you want to help other people, if you want to create stuffed animals through crocheting, these are all things that you can do, and there is no single purpose that is better than another, because your only purpose in this entire lifetime is to figure out what you want to do and to pursue it relentlessly. That's all you have to do, is to figure out what you want to do. Not what someone else tells you, not what your parents told you, not what society, not what your friends, not your coworkers, not your job. None of them have any say over it unless you allow them to. If you're handing your power to them and saying, well, this is what my parents told me, I have to honor them, I have to do this, then that's what you're going to do, because you get to keep all of the things you believe about yourself, because those are the ones you're reinforcing. So if you don't know where you want to go, you can't reinforce the decisions that you're making to have any reason for you. If you don't know why you're doing something, you're not going to keep doing it. If you don't have a clear direction, you aren't going to accept that you're going to have to do certain things and learn certain things and spend time doing it. What do you want from your life? All of it is possible, but you have to focus in on the things that you want and to move forward towards them. There is nothing in this world that you can't do, because the hardest thing that you'll ever do in this world you did before you did anything else, and that was being born. 1 in 400 trillion chances of being born. You are statistically more likely to achieve anything else in this world than being born, and you've already done that. So take back your power and figure out what you want to do. I've spent many notebooks trying to figure it out. Pretty notebooks that didn't have much to them, and it was just pen and paper. And thousands of words later, I'm still figuring it out. So this is not something that you're going to sit down for one night and have all the answers to. But I am more aware today about this journey that I want to be on and to create a life that I'm proud of, than just simply being another cog in the machine that isn't aware, that is just going on with what everyone else is doing. I don't want to do that. I want to live a life full of beauty and culture and learning, and that is why I'm reading a lot of books, why I want to go and do ballet, why I want to travel and see the world. I want to create a life that is rich with flavor and of interest. So that is the journey that I'm on, and it's going to shift as I grow older, but at least the heart of it is I want to learn and I want to be better and I want to keep growing. So it could be as vague as that, or it could be even more specific, but you have to sit with yourself and figure it out. Now, if we want to think about our past, our present, we also have to think about our future. So question number 3 is, who do I want to be? Now it is a little bit more abstract, and also just as equally important is, who are you trying to become? Are you trying to be somebody who is in love with life and excited to be around the people that they love and sharing what they learn and what they earn and making the world a brighter place wherever they go? Or are you somebody who is mad all the time and frustrated and never takes any time off? Or somebody who doesn't want to work and is equally as excited as raising kids at home and creating a life on a farm in the middle of nowhere? What is it that you want, and how do you want to show up for yourself in the world around you? Whoever you want to be is possible and equally as important, but you have to take the steps to get there and to figure it out. So what I want to do is directly tied to who I want to be. Who I want to be is a person who is willing to show up when it's difficult, when it's hard, when I am not fully rested, and I still want to be a person who shows up for my dreams however much it is, I just want to move the needle a little bit more every day because I don't know how much time I get, and I want to be someone who shows up and continues to show up for me, because I have shown up for others so many times, and now I need to show up for myself. And this is where I have to be. I have to decide who's worth showing up for and who's not, and I'm choosing that I'm the person that is worth showing up for. And I want to show others that they're worth showing up for as well by showing that I can show up for me too. Because the more you're aware of what you're doing, the more time you have to go to the places that you like, do the things that you enjoy, and start moving towards them. At the end of the day, no matter what you do or who you are going to affect the lives of others, and especially yourself. You're going to meet many people in this world, and I hope that you meet yourself. Choose today to be the beginning of your rewriting of your story, of writing the next chapter. There is no reason for any of us to feel like we are burdens to the world if we feel like we are an amazing gift to ourselves. You're going to be with yourself for every single second of your entire life, no matter who your partner is, no matter who your family is, no matter who your siblings are. The only person who is ever truly going to be aware of everything you've been through and overcome is you. So you have to get good with the person in the mirror and understand that the universe and God, all of this is a reflection of you to yourself, and that if you see beauty, if you see grace, if you see wonderfulness, it is because it is within you. Whatever you see out is what is within. So work on what's within you, what has been, what is going on, and who you want to be. Work on these 3 questions and start getting used to the idea that you're gonna have to be with yourself for the rest of your life. So it's time to start enjoying the company. And the more you do, the more you'll attract the right people who will also want to be there and help you grow your vision. Whatever you want to do in this world is possible, but you have to choose and focus on it and make sure that you're aware that you are worthy of all of this. And that is why I wrote so many books. This is just a few, like I've said. But that was why I was doing it, because I felt like no one cared about me being in their life or valued my presence, so I had to figure out a way to value my own. I've written myself many letters and many notebooks, and people have called me crazy for it. But at the end of the day, those people aren't in my life anymore, and I am. And every single time you sit down with a piece of paper and you write out what you want, who you want to be, what you've learned, you are proving to yourself that you trust yourself to make time for you and that you're worthy of it. You deserve to live a beautiful life, and that is something that only you can prove to yourself and get really good with. You deserve to have an amazing life filled with love and joy and happiness, but you have to give it to yourself first, and then the right people will come along and the opportunities will show up, but you have to do the hard work first of sitting down and getting clear about what it is that you want in this world. All of it's possible, and you can do it, but you have to start, and you have to keep putting in the work, and you have to forgive yourself. And that is also part of looking at your spiritual life in totality, is you have to forgive yourself constantly. You have to tell yourself what's going to happen is okay, and that you'll deal with it, and that the trust that you're building by writing, by spending time with yourself, is so that someday when something difficult comes along, you'll be able to handle it because you trust yourself and you've created this beautiful life with every step that you've taken. So I hope you got something out of today's video, and we are going to be back very soon with the next journey called I Choose Me. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing in 2026, starting in December of 2025, is we're going to choose ourselves. We're going to choose ourselves in every moment that it's difficult, that it's hard. Every single moment is going to create this person that you've always wanted to be, and we're going to do it together, and I'm going to share the entire journey with you. So this is the last video of the mindset reset, mindset shift journey, and what we're going to start next is the I Choose Me journey. There is something I've been working on and I'm excited to share with you, and there's going to be so many resources that I'm going to share, that I've created, that we're going to build this new life together. And I'm excited for you to be part of this journey. So I will see you very soon. But until then, I hope you have an amazing week.